I was just thinking it's Tuesday afternoon and I'm opening on Thursday, Central Bank, Diary of a Bad Red Woman, played by Nikki Crosby. And we're not quite ready. We're looking for sets. You know, sets are, well, we expect the set to come in tomorrow, Wednesday, which is very bad because we open on Thursday. But, you know, theatre in Trinidad is made up of all kinds of exciting things happening. So that's what's going on with me right now. As soon as I'm finished with this, I'm off to the Central Bank. Actually, for the past 3 years, I've been involved with John Smith and Trevon Jagmohan of First Instinct Productions, and we've been doing musicals, large-scale musicals. 3 years ago, we did The Sound of Music, and then The King and I, and a few months ago, we closed Jesus Christ Superstar. Well, I want to do another training intensive. I've been focusing on training young people. I think there's a big need. There's a huge need for training in the theatre. Some time ago, I judged the finals of Best Village, and I was very dismayed that after 50 years of Best Village, there's still a lot of work to be done. A lot of work. Basic stuff, fundamental stuff, you know, theatrical stuff. Character development, script analysis, you know, some kind of idea into set design and light design and sound design, costume design. It's lacking everywhere. I started in 1989, yes, 1989, at the Arima Town Hall. I live in Arima, and I did Run for Your Wife. You know, I had to test the water, so I did it in my hometown. And I felt brave after that and went to the Central Bank the year after that, 1990. Got run out of the Central Bank because we were there on July 27, 1990. Yes, thanks to the Muslimeen, we were run out. And we did not go back into the theatre until November of that year. I can't remember the name of the play we were doing. It must have been Boeing Boeing. And around 6:30, 7 o'clock, sirens went off in the Central Bank. The guards were running through the halls of the Central Bank saying, get out, you have to get out. And we packed up and left. Of course, we were right down at the bottom of St. Vincent Street, and all the action was taking place right up the road there at the police headquarters. You know, but we didn't know that at the time. You know, we all spent the night in Port of Spain at one of the actresses' homes, Leslie Ann Wells. And that was it. That was the start of the 3-month curfew situation. Oh no, but it started off with one big 10-year highlight, and that's the training with Helen Camps at the Trinidad Tent Theatre. I started doing a play with Derek Walcott. Helen came to see it, and the following year she started the Trinidad Tent Theatre. That's where I learned everything that I know in the theatre. We learned everything, from box office to production to lights and sound and everything, all the stuff that I just spoke of. And then after 10 years of that, I started producing in '89. The highlights, there are lots of highlights. As far as plays go, there was, you know, Behind Closed Doors by Dwight Arthur, you know, M. Butterfly, produced by Bagas Company. The M. Butterfly, actually, the year of the M. Butterfly actually was the first year of the Cacique Awards. So I actually won the Best Actor Cacique, the first Best Actor Cacique Award, together with Sonia Mose, who did something else. I can't remember what she did. Lots of highlights. Norman is that, as far as plays go, you know, Norman is that you, M. Butterfly, Everybody Loves Raymond, directing America Dance. That was a very important time. As you know, America Dance is one of the most popular plays ever produced in Trinidad. It won the most awards ever. I directed that. Well, right now, I am sort of like concentrating on training. You know, working with young people. You know, like I say, and I keep saying, there's so much work to be done. And, you know, I get a little bit disillusioned because I have to deal with the fact that in this country we accept mediocrity so easily. So easily. There are lots of theater practitioners that are doing stuff and they have no idea. And the thing is, I don't, you know, they're innocently doing their stuff. They're just doing what they can do, the way they can do it. And the audiences and people, family and friends, fool us into thinking that what we're doing is of a high quality, when in fact we're just scraping the top. We just at a stage where we need all of this training, you know. And I'm talking about people that are producing productions and attracting huge audiences, and it's all very mediocre. What are we training? Training. I want to offer myself up to the government to train the best village people, you know. But you know, it's very difficult even to do that. You know, with all the good intentions in the world, you know, it is difficult to even have yourself accepted to do something like that. And I mean, it doesn't have to be me. You know, get somebody that could dissect these scripts. You know, get somebody that could train the villages on constructing a set, so that you don't have the door of a set open into the backstage, the curtains of the backstage. You know, there's something called masking. When you open a door on a set, there's masking, that you give the illusion that you're opening the door into another room. It's a simple thing. It's a very, very simple thing. But they do that. They open the door into an empty space, and at the end of the day, people say, it was lovely, it was wonderful. You know, that is very disheartening, because it's not lovely, it's not wonderful. I have nothing against amateurs, because you have to start somewhere, but let's start somewhere and let's recognize the facts, the honesty of what we're doing, and then do something about it so that we could all progress, you know, so that we could all grow. Well, notwithstanding everything that I just said with something kind of negative, I am in fact very optimistic, because I am dealing a lot with young people, and I'm also trying my best, and I think it's beginning to happen. It's beginning to happen with the musicals. You have people from all of the different genres of theater, people of the different schools of thought of theater. Like, for instance, you have the university people, you have the TTW people, you have necessary arts people, you have UTT people, and then you have the commercial producers who have their own people. They begin to mesh, they begin to blend into each other, you know, so people are learning from each other. Take, for instance, this play I'm doing right now, Diary of a Bad Red Woman. You got that, right? Right. I mean, we have a girl called Sintaiki Bishop from the UE classes, and she's excellent. She's excellent. A few years ago, that would never happen. To have somebody from UE come and work with us, that would never happen. Now, she's here with us, and she's having a great time. I hope to God she's learning something, you know. And that mixing and blending is beginning to happen very slowly. So I'm encouraged about that. I'm offering the training intensive, but it's very difficult, because sometimes you have people of such varying levels of experience that you have to offer different levels of training, in the sense that you may have to have beginners classes and medium term and then advanced classes. Right now I deal basically with people that have had a little experience in the theater. Yeah. I've had that discussions with a lot of the up and coming people, and if I might call them some names, you know, like Kern Samuel and Conrad Paris, Mark Nottingham. They've been around for a little while, you know, and they don't seem to have the vehicle to shine out as a I hate to say star, but as a popular actor in Trinidad. You know, for the past like 10 years or so, for the past decade, I mean, certain people have emerged as accomplished actors, you know, and when you see them, or they call their names, they know that these are actors like Richard Raguba, saying Deborah. Penelope Spencer, Deborah Bucco Mason, Nikki Crosby, you know, Cecilia Salazar, of course. How could you forget Cecilia? Because I think Cecilia is the best actress in Trinidad today, you know, but I would like to see another group of people come up that was going to take our places, because we all, you know, past the century mark, half century mark, and I'm not seeing them yet, and I'm a little bit, concerned about what is happening here. Why is it that these people are not emerging as popular actors? I hate to say stars. Let's say popular actors, and I think that the work is not available. When I first started, there was a lot of work that propelled me into the limelight as an actor. I don't think that these new people are getting this opportunity to do that.
I was wondering if it's the rules.
Yes, they're not getting the opportunity to do it at all, and maybe I am to blame because I'm the one that they say started the comedy thing in Trinidad, and I did, but it's like I always say, I've been criticized a lot for doing the comedy, but I always say, if you want to do something else, you should do it. The fact of the matter is that it is very difficult to produce anything else but comedy in this country. It is very, very difficult.
And be financially.
And be financially viable. So the big challenge is to find something that is comical, that is going to bring people into the theater and yet still have some kind of substance, that you can satisfy yourself as an artist. Honesty. I truly believe that honesty is the best policy. I believe that, sometimes you get repercussions from being honest, negative repercussions from being honest. But in the long run, it always plays out that honesty is the best policy. It's something that I also take in my training as an actor. Every time, whenever I do my training intensive and stuff, they hear me say that almost in every session. You have to give an honest interpretation of whatever character that you're portraying. You do not judge the characters, you just portray them in the way that it is written. A giver. I think I've always given since I've been conscious of myself, in pre-teen years and stuff. I think I've always been a people person. I've always been interested in people, in their personalities, in who they are and why they are the way they are. And I am the one that would not bring the stray dog home, but would bring the stray person home. I'm the one that would be very, very interested in the lives of difficult people. And I suppose it represents itself in my personal relationships. In my personal relationships, I've always been difficult. I've always had difficult relationships, because it's always been with difficult, complex, troubled people, So I've always been attracted to that.
To have things to work out.
Yes, you always have something to work out. And of course, you ask as you grow older, you ask yourself, how much of that is egotistical? How much of that is really for me and not for them? And I've been battling with that. In all honesty, you have to battle with these things that truly trouble you as a person. Because I could very easily say, oh, I want to help somebody, I want to help this person, but what is it in it for you? You have to ask yourself that. Sometimes you figure out what it is in it for you, and sometimes it's not pretty. Sometimes it's not pretty at all. Sometimes you have to come to terms with the fact that you're a very selfish son of a bitch. That all of this interest that you're showing is really for you. But then again, sometimes you make a strong effort, and
it works out.
And it works out. The best times that I could remember was in my late teenage years, late teenage years, 18, 19. That's when I traveled a bit of the world, not the entire world, not really. I went up to Canada, went across Canada to Vancouver, and then took a boat down to Australia and came back home via the Panama Canal, and I took 9 months to do that. And it was maybe the best part of my life, the part of my life that sort of dictated the rest of my life. I was lucky to do that. I convinced my parents that I needed to do that. I don't know. My mother was 18 when she had me, so we sort of grew up together. I had to tell her what she needed to do for me, and I did that. And when I came back, I started the theater.
How it changed you?
But it opens up your perspective of people. You begin to see that people are the same all over the world. I also visited China with my father just before he died, and I thought it was amazing that in the countryside of China, the people that you meet there are the same as the people that are in Trinidad. They're just Chinese and they speak a different language and they have a different culture, but the personalities, you know, you would meet a distant cousin or an uncle or somebody, and that person is just like the person in Pinto Road in Arima, or the person that sells something in the market in Arima. You know, it is amazing. You learn that about people. You learn that about people. Like I said before, I've always been very much interested in people. I like to see what makes them tick. I like to see where they live and how they live, and okay, it has paid off for me very, very well, because now that I am a lot directing plays, I have a lot to say to my actors, you know, and to demonstrate to the actors what they need to attract, so that they can interpret other characters. You know, actors are people that live. You have to live life. You know, you don't run away from experiences. You attract experiences. You welcome and embrace experiences, so that all of this is your armor. All of this is your ammunition, stock in trade. You know, so I always encourage actors to get up and do things. You can't be shy. You know, you have to get up and do stuff. Childhood was interesting because I came from a middle class, well, slightly lower middle class kind of family. We had a Chinese laundry in Arima. My mother is actually Spanish, Venezuelan, African, and Amerindian. That's my mother, and my father is from China. You know, so that was interesting. Didn't talk too much to my father, simply because he didn't speak a lot of English. Really Chinese, from Canton in China. Okay, I don't think it's still called Canton, but anyway, South China, where most of them came from.
What he did?
Well, actually, his father was a somewhat of a mayor of the village that he came from, and he left China. That's his father, my grandfather, left China to go to the States, and he somehow ended up, I can't remember where in the States he ended up, but he ended up in the States. And my father left China in pursuit of him, and that was during the Second World War, and he always spoke about escaping from the war as he went from port to port, you know, through Egypt and all the different places, the Middle East, and finally ended up in Trinidad, got acquainted with the Chinese community here, and decided to stay.
So with boat?
With a boat, yes, by boat. Yeah, he came by boat too. That Chinese came by boat as well. Yes, very distant. Very distant. I think in his mind, his intention was to at some point go back to China, and he did go back to China about a year before he died, you know. But so he stayed here a long time, you know. Met my mother. It was an arranged marriage, and we had three of us, and that was it. I didn't do much in school. But my education I got traveling. When I realized that I had somewhat of a voice in the whole development of the theater movement in Trinidad, and I am sure there are people out there, theater people, that are going to maybe scoff at that statement that I had anything to do with the theater movement. The fact is, when I started producing, there was Derek Walcott, TTW, and a few small companies that were doing different kinds of stuff. And when I got together with one Leslie Ann Wells to start Raymond Choo Kong Productions, and we, I think, approached the whole theater industry in a very clinical, commercial way. In that we decided, okay, we're going to produce theater, but what kind of theater should we produce? And we came upon comedy, because we realize that we are a people that have the ability to laugh at ourselves. We like to laugh, and this is the strength of the ability. We laugh at ourselves, you know, which is different from just laughing, you know. And we decided to tap in on that, you know, and hence we looked at playing Norman Is That You, and different farces and comedies. A lot of people don't know the difference between a farce and a comedy, and but it is different. What is a basic difference? The difference is in timing. The farce, the farce functions on the beat of the metronome. You know, the farce goes like this: bim bam bim bam bim bam. The speech pattern and even the movement on stage goes like that. It doesn't mean that you wouldn't stop. Like for instance, you would bim bam but stop to, you know, to accentuate the punchline of a joke. But the next actor to come in has to pick up the responsibility of keeping the pace of the play going like this. Bam bam bam. That's the timing of the farce. You know, with the comedy now, it's like a drama, but on a lighter scale. You know, more naturalistic. Very, very close. We still are. We had a little falling out when I decided that, and this had nothing to do with Leslie. It was just about me taking stock of my life, looking at my age, and trying to decide what I wanted to do with my life. You know, Leslie had a lot of other opportunities. She used to work at NP, and she used to do different things. She used to work on the radio and all of that. I just had this, and I decided that, you know what, I have a feeling that I need to step out and do this for myself. I mean, Leslie understood eventually, you know, but it was a little difficult time. Right now, we're good friends, but we don't see each other very much because she lives in England. Yeah. We have to be able to forgive ourselves and ultimately forgive others. There's a lot of stuff that could go wrong in your life. A lot of them is caused by yourself. Most of the problems that you have with people or jobs or anything it's usually your fault. It's usually your fault. I think you have to be able to forgive yourself of a lot of mistakes and maybe wrong things. And when I say wrong things, I'm thinking even wrong thoughts. Because I think there's a lot of power in thought. You know, sometimes you don't have to do somebody something. If you think ill of somebody, that is very, very dangerous. You know, and you have to be able to clear that karma. You know, you have to be able to clear that karma. It has been a very good life. It has been a very fulfilling life. I'm going to be 65 next week. And I think about death. It props up, you know, high blood pressure, you know, showing up itself, the high glucose showing up itself. But I feel good, you know. I feel very vibrant. I don't prevent myself from doing anything. I do what I want to do. You know, what a 65-year-old person would want to do, I suppose. I have my great-grandchild is due in a few months' time, and I'm looking forward to that. You know, I have problems like everybody else. You know, I have two sons. One is doing fairly well. The other one is not doing so good, and I worry. And you try your best. You try your best. I think about whether I've done enough in my life, you know.
Career-wise, or
as a person, but I suppose your career is a big part of you, you know, especially the type of career that I have, you know, where it's so people-oriented. And I am satisfied. I am satisfied because I still, at my age, get very excited about my work. You know, I still get very excited. I get very passionate and loud and abrasive when I have to talk to young people when they talk nonsense, when they make statements that they cannot justify, you know, when they make statements because it's just coming off the top of their head and they think it's okay. I try to tell them it's not okay. You have to think about what you say, you know. And then sometimes I get very theatrical and I try to talk about their enunciation. You know, young people always eating up their words and stuff. I spend most of my days saying, what? What did you say? What did you say? You know, because they don't enunciate, you know. They don't enunciate. I mean, projection is one thing. You're on the stage, you project, you know. But, you know, and it's so important because in anything that you do, if you're going to look for a job, your voice is one of the most impressive things that you have. When you enter into a room and you open your mouth and you have a nice strong voice, everybody's impressed. Everybody sits up. Everyone wants to know, who is that? You know? It's a very important tool. I recognize all genres of theater. I really believe that all genres of theater are important. You understand? I am not in search for the Caribbean aesthetic of theater. I'm not that person. You understand? I'm interested in doing all kinds of theater. Not to say that I'm not interested in Caribbean theater. I am. You know, I'm very much interested in Caribbean, but not solely that. You know, it is not my intention to develop the Caribbean aesthetic. That is not my aim. My aim is to do all types of theater. So a farce is as attractive to me as a Derek Walcott, let's say. Sometimes you have to do things that are financially viable. I just went through 3 years of trying to produce plays with new people, and it has almost cost me my life. It almost cost me my life. My finances were on the verge. You understand? So I have to pull back now. I have to pull back now and utilize actors with experience, actors that can hold it, that can stand up on the stage. I was fooling myself into thinking that I could bring a certain amount of young people onto the stage, but I went too far. I had too many of those young people, when I say young people, I mean inexperienced people on stage. You know, so I stopped for a while and I did some training and I did the musicals and stuff. So now I'm coming back onto the fray with with more commercial stuff, but with a better plan. I regret that I did not encourage my first son to pursue his interest in cricket. Yes, because he was a very, very good cricketer, and it escaped me that I did not focus on that, you know. But then again, I say, what is for you is for you, and if that was not for him, that was not for him. But I really regret. I've really felt that, you know, if I had only concentrated on that, maybe today he would have been a great cricketer, you know. But it was not to be. Regrets are hard to find. Regrets are hard to find because I'm a very positive, optimistic kind of person. You know, it's like last few years when I was going through my difficulties, my financial difficulties, I, in the back of my head, always knew that I will find my way out. You know, that I will get out of it. You know, and I'm out of it. You know, so there's always a way. There's always a way, and this is what I try to tell. This is what I try to tell young people. You just have to do the work and find the way. And I know that's very difficult for young people to do. I know that is much easier said than done. But there is no other way to say it. You know, you have to keep searching. You have to keep positive and keep going at it. One thing that happened to me last year was that you know there's a lot of crime in the country. You know, there's a lot of addiction in the country, and I knew this person that involved in drugs, and he, in front of my eyes, was sort of like going down that road. I always talk to young people about people are faced with a precipice in their life at some point. Every time you turn around, there's a precipice somewhere. But somehow we know that you don't cross the line. You don't cross the line and go over that precipice. You're driving a car fast, you know you need to slow down here now, because I mean this is a busy area. You understand? Or in whatever you're doing, you know, you always know that there is a line. Normal people know that there's a line that you don't cross. But there are some people that cross that line for whatever reason. And this person that I'm talking about did his drugs, and he crossed that line. And I looked at the whole process. I looked at the whole process of him becoming more and more of a person without any kind of interest in continuing to live because he was so involved in the drugs. And then the thing that you know could happen happened. He got shot. He was killed. 24 years old. He was killed. That was a big moment for me. That was a big moment for me in the sense that sometimes you know everything that you feel you know. And then it happens that it's like you don't know nothing at all. You don't know anything at all. You know, why is it that he had to cross the line? You know, because he did cross the line. He didn't care too much about living anymore. He left where he lived on Donald Street and started going down into Nelson and Duncan Street. And you know, that's a warring area. You know, the gangs, you know, from street to street. One street is warring with another street, you know. You understand? And he went there to get his drugs. Went onto one of the different streets, I don't know which is Nelson Street or whatever, to get something. The people saw him and say, there is such a person from the other street. Boom, one bullet to his head, dead. Dead. So the crime is real. The crime is close. And so there's live sport. And sport is doing what they feel they need to do. But I think the theater has a big part to play as well. But the powers that be don't seem to think so. I think a lot of the people in power do not recognize the powers that the theater has. You know what I mean? Not everybody in difficult areas are going to want to play sports. You know? And being involved in the theater, in the arts, could be very rewarding. Could be rewarding, even if you don't stay in the arts. You know, the fundamentals of a good actor are the fundamentals of a good person.
Learning to deal with all.
Learning to deal with everything that may come across in their lives. Love and relationships have been very turbulent. Very turbulent. But I enjoyed every moment of it. I love being in love, you know. I'm in love right now, but not with a partner, you know, with grandchildren, you know, and children and young actors, you know, and it's good. It's good because I have lived my life. You know, I've had the personal relationships, a lot of them. I've been in love many times, and it was wonderful. And I know that moment of being in love where, you know, everything is just one big light, and you're totally happy. I have experienced it, so I'm good.
All levels of love.
All levels of love. All levels of love. I've made plenty of mistakes. I have hurt a lot of people. I have been hurt by a lot of people. You know, and I love it. It's great because you see, you can look back on all of these experiences. Now, all of these experiences with these people, nothing is you know, nothing has stayed the way it was. You know, you meet these people that you maybe had a bad experience with, and it's great. You laugh about the bad experience. You know, it was a bad experience. But we are different people now, and we're good. I am very, very lucky. I am one of the people that live by something that I love to do. You know, I love doing the theater, and I managed to work my way around to be able to live by this. You know, my mother, like I said, was 18 years old when she had me, and my father was a distant father, a man from a different culture whose intention was always to go back, you know, and yet still they must have done something right, you know, to at least allow me to think the way I'm thinking, you know, and it is progressive enough, I think, that I am comfortable in my environment, I'm comfortable with the people that I interact with, and I feel good and satisfied with my life. And I think that's very important. So sometimes when I look back at my mother who died some time ago, and I say, well, she didn't do such a bad job. Even though I quarreled with her for years and years and years. You know, had big arguments about how to raise a child. She was a child when she had me.